Wow, that sounds cool, Joaquin. What you doing there?
Playing my cello. I noticed when the notes get higher, the strings get shorter.
Wow.
Is that the same thing for your instrument?
Yeah, that's a great observation, Joaquin. Let's see.
So how does that actually work?
That's a great question. That's getting into the physics of music, and I think we better call my friend Cris Moore. He's a mathematician, and he knows all about those things. Hey, Cris, I want to introduce you to my son, Joaquin.
Hi, my name's Joaquin. Nice to meet you.
Hey, very nice to meet you, Joaquin. You're a musician too.
I play the cello.
A beautiful instrument.
So we have a science of sound question over here.
Awesome, I want to hear it.
I noticed that when I put my hands on the strings of my cello, it makes a higher sound. How does that work?
That's a great question, Joaquin. When you put your finger partway down the string, the part of it that can vibrate gets shorter. Shorter strings vibrate faster, and our ears hear that faster vibration as a higher note.
Thanks, cool.
We could make a homemade instrument that would demonstrate this thing about the strings. You want to try that out?
Sure.
Okay, here's what we're going to need. First of all, a rubber band. That's going to act like our string. Secondly, something we can stretch it over, like a book or a piece of scrapwood or a ruler. And finally, two things that'll help hold the string up, like two magic markers, two pens, two pencils. Okay, so let's meet back here when we've both got all that stuff.
Sounds good. Thanks, Cris. Okay, I think we found everything. What do we do now?
You stretch the rubber band the long way along it, and you want it to have a fair amount of tension, and then you put your pens and pencils or magic markers or whatever underneath the rubber band to hold it up away from your ruler or your block of wood, like that. How's it sound? Try plucking it. And then if you want to make a higher note, you can do that by sliding this up so that the vibrating part of the rubber band gets shorter. So Joaquin, let's try this out on your cello.
Okay.
Got it right here.
Can you play me a D on your open D string? Nice. And now what happens when you put your finger halfway down the string? Ah, see, that's an octave higher. It's the next D above that open D. So by making the string half as long, the part that vibrates, you're making it vibrate twice as fast, and that makes a note an octave higher.
So that's a half, and there's other fractions that are important in music too, right?
That's true. So let's try another experiment where you hold your finger 1/3 of the way down the string. If I'm not mistaken, that will change that open D to an A.
Okay, so this is a half. Let's put your finger at a third. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Exactly. I mean, that interval, those two notes, we hear those in songs all the time, like in Twinkle, Twinkle. Musicians call it a fifth because it's 5 notes up in the scale. Ba-da-da-da-da. You're holding your finger 1/3 of the way down the string, so the part that vibrates is only 2/3 as long. You flip 2/3 over and you get 3/2, or 1 1/2. So it's vibrating 1 1/2 times as fast, and that moves the note up by a fifth.
Does that make sense, Joaquin?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Mom, can you play a note on your violin, please?
Sure, I would love to. How about I play that same note, that D?
Okay.
I'll play my open D.
It sounds kind of different and kind of the same.
That's a very good observation. It turns out that when you play a note on a cello, a violin, or even a rubber band, it isn't just one frequency. Even a single note is actually a combination of many different vibrations at different frequencies. Think about plucking a string. In the moment before you release it, it makes a shape like this. This shape doesn't just have that basic jump rope in it, which we call the fundamental. It also has some of this wave, which is twice as fast and sounds an octave higher. And this one 3 times as fast, which is a fifth higher than that. So even a single note has all these higher tones hidden inside it. We call these hidden tones harmonics, and different instruments have different mixes of harmonics. If we put the ones from my simulated string together in a computer, it sounds like this. That sounded kind of stringy, but not that much like your instruments. And I guess violins and cellos, they're a lot more than just vibrating strings.
I agree. I love the tone of the violin and all the stringed instruments. One thing that you'll learn soon, Joaquin, and that I do when I play is I add vibrato. Vibrato means vibration. I move my finger back and forth. This is the slow motion version. And it changes the pitch slightly. When I speed it up, it doesn't sound like a different pitch. It just gives it a warmth to the tone.
And then what about the bow itself? How does that set up vibrations in the string?
The bow is really important. Playing with a different bow will totally change the timbre of an instrument. This part is made out of horsehair. And we don't hurt the horse, we just give it a haircut and clean the hair really well. And if you look under a microscope at the horsehair, you'll see that it's actually very rough. It has these barbs or like little claws on it that are actually pulling the string really fast, which pulls out the sound from the string. If it was smooth and not rough, it wouldn't make such a nice sound.
So it's like plucking it many times a second microscopically.
Exactly, and that's what gives it the unique timbre of the violin.
Wow, there's so much going on behind the scenes of your instruments, and I love learning about how each musical instrument is unique. Each one involves math and physics, not to mention the spirit of the musician. So thank you very much, Joaquin and Carla, for sharing this with me.
Thank you for answering all my questions.
It was a pleasure. Hey, can we finish up with some music?
Sure, of course.
Absolutely. So we're going to play the chorus from Handel's Judas Maccabeus, and I will play the harmony. Joaquin will play the melody on his cello. And the harmony on the violin will use some of those intervals that we've been talking about, and we'll have the harmony to make the melody sound even more beautiful. Bravo!